Hey, Coach.
Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you hanging in there. I know you guys got a chance to talk to BMAC and whatnot, but wrapping up a really an excellent week of work. A full padded practice today inside of Autzen Stadium, working multiple personnel groupings and situations, heavy emphasis on block destruction, on third down football, high red zone football as well. Really just getting a lot of guys, different opportunities, mixing and matching guys playing next to each other to work on communication. Threw some noise in there too. I think sometimes we forget these guys haven't played in front of a live audience in a long, long time. So it's never too early to start preparing for that again. But all in all, very pleased with today and the energy from start to finish. Finish strong, knowing that, we got to rest up this weekend, eat well, take care of some academics, and get ready to come back Tuesday and have a great Tuesday practice.
All right, let's open it up to questions. James Crepea, the Oregonian.
Mario, we didn't get as much into the super seniors yet, and just wanted your perspective of what it means to have Johnny Johnson back for another year and what he still brings to the room and what he needs to work on.
Well, I think you said it great. You just can't emphasize it enough how Johnny and Red in that wide receiver room, what they bring to the table, and not only from a ability standpoint, playmaking standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint, from a setting the bar high for preparation for how we do things. Guys that they're as competitive as can be, and right now they're playing and competing as if they are freshmen trying to earn a role on the team. When your older players do that, when your best and most experienced players do that, it sets a tone for everybody else, and that's what Johnny has been doing. That's what Jalen Red has been doing.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
But you had a record number of early enrollees this camp, and I'm sure their heads are spinning at this point, but are any of them standing out to you and kind of like, wow, they're catching your eye here in practice?
Yeah, well, I hope we break that record every year, AJ. Quite honestly, it's an incredible blessing. And because think about this, besides the fact that they get used to the academic regimen that comes with being a student athlete at this level, you get guys that go through the winter program, a strength and conditioning program, the fourth quarter program, and then you go full throttle into spring ball. So your installs, actually getting reps, live reps in full pads with the rest of their teammates is an incredible advantage. But I don't know where to start. It's more of who hasn't made an impression so far, and that's being about as dead honest as I possibly can be. They have all gotten opportunities to work in significant amount of situational football. They have all been called on to make plays. They've made plays. They have made mistakes as well. This is as talented as a young group of players as I have ever been around. I guess that's the best way to summarize that.
Matt Preen, 247 Sports.
Tight end is a position where DJ's back with some starting experience, but then everyone else behind him doesn't have much. And Spencer played a little bit of 19 for you. Mm-hmm. It truly feels open for anybody. What's that competition like, and just the potential that group has between now and off season and fall camp?
Enormous potential, and the excitement around that group is extremely high. And you're looking at body types that we've been searching to get here for a while now. Guys that are 6'4" to 6'6", guys ranging from 242 to 269, guys that could run, jump, catch, block. They know how to throw around their bodies and create leverage in the running game. They can also create mismatches in the passing game. And all these guys have really reliable hands. And these guys can run, and they just went through an offseason that's made them even more physically capable of impacting the game, the vertical passing game, the intermediate game, the screen game, blocking, staying in protections as well as in the run game. So that group right there, and those body types are extremely critical to your special teams play as well. Those guys are as simple as setting your edges and your ends in your protection team, as well as your punt teams, your cover teams, your kickoff return teams. These guys are extremely valuable, and we're really happy and glad to have them.
Max Torres, Ducks Digest.
Mario, since you've been the head coach here, you've had your fair share of hires to make. When we were talking to Marcel just now, he told us that, you said, "Hey, come win a national championship with me." When you're having these conversations with, potential future coaches, what's that atmosphere like? What are you selling them on?
That we work really, really, really hard, and that this is not for everybody. That there is a vision for our football program, and it's a we thing here. There's no I think my upbringing and my past. I come from a very humble, grind work type of household. So that we do things that way here, but we do it a certain way, and it's gonna require every ounce of what you have. And if you're willing to do that, the payback at the end of this thing is so rewarding, and it comes in so many ways, from working with some of the best student athletes in the entire country, to playing in monster games on the big stage under the bright lights, and then playing for championships, developing as a coach, because you're going to be around other head coaches that have been in championship programs, that have great experience, that you're going to be challenged, and that you're going to be able to coach. You're going to be the head coach of your position, and you're going to be groomed and developed to continue to elevate, not only within this program, but within the industry. That's our promise to coaches that come here. And in the past 3 years, I wish I had in front of me the amount of coaches, analysts, graduate assistants, coordinators that have been able to, gain that next step in their career in other places and here. So, but the conversations are pretty long. We take a deep dive into what it's like, and how we do things, because I'll be the first to say, and I'm very open and honest, this is not for everybody. This is not, our place is not for guys that like to wake up late or like to leave early, that like to cut corners. That's not what we do. We go full throttle, and we are on 24/7. So, and we love it. It's a way of life. It's not a job.
Ryan Thorburn, registered guard.
Mario, with the extra year of eligibility, sometimes you have to do a double take when you look at the roster. For example, Verone is technically a sophomore, but he's a guy that, enrolled in January 18. He's been with you basically the whole time. Can you speak to what his potential is this year with all that experience and what we've seen so far from him?
Well, the first thing is, Ryan, I'm going to, if that's okay with you, I'm going to have you in charge of figuring out who's what year, because I don't know yet. Okay. That's coming way down the line, I guess. A second part is, Verone is a tremendous blessing to all of us here, and to those guys around him in the locker room. Verone came in as a corner, and just worked and grinded in a room that was stacked with a lot of talent, and all he did was work and just kept pushing. And all of a sudden it started clicking, and he started making plays, and people started noticing that. And all he did after that was work harder. And the respect of him by other players for him is extremely high. He is a leader on this football team, comes from an incredibly awesome family, a guy that we are relying on for leadership, to make plays, to continue to elevate the standard around here. So he means a lot to this program. I mean, he means a whole lot to this program. And one of the best things about Verone is he enjoys being pushed and challenged. And another case of when your best players enjoy that aspect, understand that aspect, and can grab it and attack it, got a chance to be really good. He helps us and provides that chance for us.
Hadley Heck, KVAL News.
Hey, Coach, I'm sorry. My question for you isn't geared towards spring ball. It's actually about the name, image, and likeness bill being considered by Oregon's legislature right now. I'm curious your thoughts on the issue and if you feel there needs to be a change in favor of student athletes.
Well, I'd like to get all the information to see exactly in what direction it's going. I think we've always stated from the beginning, we're always in favor of anything that's going to help our student athletes and anything that's going to help the game of college football. And hopefully those things could be married up and worked out together.
James Crepea, the Oregonian.
Mario, to go back to special teams for a moment, you talked about working on coverage units this offseason. How much live reps will be going on even today or going forward the rest of the spring? And are there any tweaks to the coaching assignments just in terms of bringing in other voices potentially for other units? And personnel-wise, just bringing more starters onto the coverage units?
Yeah, I think personnel-wise, there's a tremendous upgrade because, number one, you're healthier and then you've got more bodies in the building. But it has to be, everything has to be upgraded from the way that we performed. And it's happening. We feel it in a couple of different ways. Number one is we're making certain position coaches head up and be, I would say, like the head coach of that particular phase, along with Coach Bobby Williams, who is, over the years has done some really, really good stuff, been a great football coach. But we all know that we got to improve, and it's not on one person and it's not on one particular player. It's on all of us as coaches, starting with me. So to do that, we're putting, for example, Ken Wilson, along with Bobby, is going to be the heavy voice when it comes to kickoff coverage. Why? He's a linebacker coach, he's a defensive coach, been a defensive coordinator, great football mind. And now, the way that we attack things, the way that we teach tackling could be further echoed in the way that we cover kickoffs. But all the coaches are involved in every single phase now, as well as our analysts. We've certainly done some professional development in the offseason regarding technique, regarding our scheme. Getting into it would probably be a pretty lengthy discussion, but certainly we've invested heavily this offseason.
We have time for a couple of more. Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
You're a third of the way through camp. Already one more practice than you had last year. I guess next week, what's kind of the agenda for you? What do you want to accomplish in this next third of spring ball?
No, it's hard to believe, right? 5 practices this year as compared to 4. Man, I mean, number one, we feel tremendously blessed. Number two, going into next week, we still got to cover situations to be able to fully scrimmage next Saturday. So 4-minute, 2-minute, 2-minute before the half, 2-minute end of the game. We got to go down to the low red as well, short yards and goal line. When we get to those phases, then we'll start doing some of the other more unique stuff, the backed up stuff as well. And we'll head into Saturday and we'll scrimmage and we'll have a pretty lengthy scrimmage, full tackle, whatnot. But we want to keep developing guys and put guys in situations that demand their very best to make a play and find out who we can, count on to do that. And the guys that aren't ready yet, what we need to do to develop those guys. So we're in football 101 and advancing, trying to get to, I forget the levels, man. It's been a little while, man. I apologize of our college courses, but I would say that from an install standpoint, Matt, I'd say we're 4 to 5 practices away from being fully installed, and we'd like to use the last 4 or 5 practices to revisit all those install sessions and put it all together again before the spring game.
Last question, AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach, last time we talked, you said you were running Anthony Brown with the ones and then kind of rotating the other quarterbacks with the other units, but that you might make some adjustments after Saturday, you said. Where's that at now, and how are you doing that practice rotation?
Okay, the 2s have still been sharing. When I say the 2s, I lump all the other guys in there with the 2s. Anthony has taken the bulk of the reps with the 1s. In fact, he's taken all the reps with the 1s. The 2s and that are sharing the 2s and 3s, it's really heating up, and they're making plays. And at some point in time, I don't know what the timeline is, there's going to be separation there. There is. But they're all getting after it. I mean, they really are. And they've made plays. They've had their share of good plays, and they've had their share of mistakes, just like we've had with the 1s. But all in all, as a quarterback room, being able to have these guys here and coach them in this system now consistently and going to practice 5, it's markedly improved in terms of the way that we operate, the way that we execute, understanding the offense and what we're trying to do in our RPO game, our play action stuff, our screen game, our drop back, the run game itself. Certainly those guys with all that experience has helped, not only in the run game, but protecting our quarterbacks and handling all these exotic pressures that Coach DeRuyter is bringing. So all in all, very pleased with the progress in that room. Trying to get quarterback, pecking order information out of me is like Fort Knox type stuff, brother. So I'll hang on to that for a little bit longer and, try to feed it out as it gets a little bit more clear.
Thank you, Coach.